First presentation is on about the key elements of the EU ESPR working plan. Mr. Henry will deliver the presentation on the topic. Mr. Henry, Deputy Head of Unit for Sustainable Product at the European Commission, please welcome him with a big round of applause.
European Commission with a big hand.
Good. Thank you very much for organizing this forum and for inviting me to present the ESPR working plan. So, indeed, ESPR is a recent legislation. It has been adopted last year, but it is also the result of a longer legislative history with Ecodesign. So first, why there is such a policy framework in place? And I'm sure the figures that you see on this slide won't surprise you. You know already most of them. It is mainly related because of to the resources issue, to the constant increase in the extraction and processing of resources and the impact of this processing and extraction on the environment and on greenhouse gases emissions. Currently, only 12% of materials used in products come from recycled material in the EU, and we see that this is not at all sufficient to address this issue of resources depletion and consequences. One way to improve on it is precisely to work on products. As you know, up to 80% of the environmental impacts of products are determined by design choices. This means that the solution also can come largely from the design of these products. So from the integration in the life cycle of the product of all the solutions to minimize their impact, but also on information. And this is a new focus of environmental policies to have this focus on the information needed by consumers and by other businesses to make informed choices and optimize the life cycle of products. So precisely this new framework adopted last year broadened the scope of the previous Ecodesign directive, broadened the scope beyond energy-related products, but also in terms of requirement, the type of requirement that can be set on product. It is enlarged to further circularity issues, to the environmental footprint and carbon footprint, to recycled content, and substances of concern present in the product. The new framework enables also to have a larger approach by using horizontal requirements, so requirements on a larger number of products on specific aspects, and this focus on information that I introduced already. And the main way this focus is materialized is through the digital product passport that was mentioned already in the introductions, and which is indeed a major innovation in this field. So how will it work? The legislation that was adopted last year is a framework legislation, so setting the main rules, the main processes, the context, but the product-specific rules will come later on through secondary legislation, so what we call delegated act in the European jargon. And one important step between the two is the working plan, announcing in advance the product on which we will work, and therefore the product that will be regulated in future. And the first of this working plan has been adopted in April this year, and this is what I will present now. After having recalled the product aspects covered under ESPR, and you see that there are plenty of aspects that we need to take into account to look, to assess in the product before regulating them. Some are directly related to circularity issues when it comes to repairability, to durability of products, to their upgradability. Some relate to environmental impact more largely when it comes to the environmental footprint, but also the water use, water efficiency, the energy efficiency of product. And some relate to the end of life of product with the possibility of recycling, but also the recovery of materials and remanufacturing of products. The type of requirements that can be set on products, so both performance requirements, which are minimum requirements that the product needs to meet in order to be placed on the EU market. And we have a long list of possible performance requirements and information requirements, so information provided together with the product on sustainability aspects, on the way the product can be repaired, can be recycled, and this is integrated in the digital product passport or possibly on physical labels coming with the product on the place of sale. What is the implementation process that will follow? So the first working plan was adopted in April. We have started, and we're starting what we call preparatory studies, so long studies on specific product or larger scope of product, looking at all the aspects to be regulated in product, and what are the best requirements possible, the most appropriate for a given product, considering also the market situation, for example, of the product. And this comes with a wide consultation of stakeholders. So industry stakeholders, for example, are involved right from the beginning of the studies. They can participate. They give their input in terms of assessment of the product, of what is feasible to regulate them. And at the end of the process, it is discussed in what we call an Ecodesign forum, gathering all these stakeholders and drawing the main conclusions of this study in view of regulation. Once a measure is adopted by the Commission, it includes a time for implementation, so duration is ensured so that industry can adapt, can make the necessary investment and prepare for the actual implementation of these measures. So in this working plan that was adopted in April, you'll find final products, consumer products, or products that are ready to be used. And this includes textile, with a focus on apparel for this first working plan. You find also furniture, tires, and mattresses. So these are the four final products that were added in this working plan. But you find also intermediate products. So iron and steel products which are provided to industry to be incorporated in final product can be regulated as such, and aluminium is the second one. Then you have still the energy-related products, so all the products that were covered under the old Ecodesign directive remain covered in the new legislation and will be reviewed and the requirement regularly updated in the new legislation. So I won't read all the list, but I'm sure you're familiar with the product that's already regulated. And you see that we have, for each product, a timeline, so indicating when the study takes place and when we plan for the adoption of measures. So this is the end of the list. And to mention also that we have a number of products which are in what we call a transition regime, so which follow the rules of the old Ecodesign directive before switching to the new regulation. We have also horizontal measures in this working plan, so measures covering a wider scope of product, but focusing on a specific aspect. And we have two of these measures that will be prepared. One on the repairability of product, and that includes the repairability scoring that we have started implementing on smartphone and tablets, for example, in a recent implementing measure. And the second one is on the recycled content and recyclability of electrical and electronic equipment. And I'm pleased to see in this forum a number of solutions precisely working on the recycled content and the recyclability of products. So I think there are a promising ground for future progresses in this field. A short mention of the substances of concern, which is also a new element in ESPR, with a definition that refers to chemical legislation, being REACH or the labeling classification regulation. So a number of substances identified in this regulation have to be tracked under ESPR. So we will ask manufacturers to report on which substances are in the product and where they are located, if there are specific instructions for handling them, especially at the end of life, for example. And finally, and very importantly, the international aspects. As these rules, the Ecodesign rules, are applicable to all products placed on the EU market, whether they are manufactured in the EU or imported, which means that they will apply indeed to your product when they are placed on the EU market. And this is why the consultation of stakeholders is also open to international actors, and we have a number of representatives of industries, non-EU industries involved on the EU market, which contribute to this legislation and which allows the rules to be applicable widely. At the end of the process, we also have a more formal consultation of the World Trade Organization using the procedure on barriers to trade, so as to be sure that the rules are compatible with the WTO rules. So I would invite everyone interested to follow the preparatory work on these different products, to contribute in the best possible way, so as to be able to implement it in the best way in future. Thank you for your listening, and I'm happy to participate in the debate later on.
Thank you very much. Meaningful presentation for us, especially the Korean participants. Thank you very much once again. 고맙습니다. 아마 EU가
Because EU is big export partner to Korea. We have many export destinations there. So we have a panel discussion at the end of today's forum, so please look forward to that session as well.